Hello, hello, and welcome back to another edition of the Change My Mind podcast, part of the hashtag Dorkshire Gooniverse, along with Geeks Worldwide Radio and Midnight.fm. If you turned a blacklight to this podcast, it'd look like a Jackson Pollock painting, and we are a-holes, but not, quote, 100% dicks. And nothing goes over our heads. Our reflexes are too fast. I am Wesley Sykes, through the other side of the ether is the Rocket Raccoon to I am Groot, Mr. Nick Fryer. Nick, what's good in the hood?
I really appreciate you calling me Rocket. You know how special that is to me. Thank you very much. That's okay.
2021, year of being nice to Nick. Yeah, that's where we're at right now.
That was another clean intro, right?
That was a clean intro. It's been in my head. Now that we can say that, now that we've had, Jules release her award-winning roast from a couple of episodes ago, episode 100. She told me about this joke a while ago, and that she was going to use it. And ever since, it's like been in my head now. Ever since, so I'm happy I can get. I don't know. I think this is a streak. I think it's 3 times in a row here.
Mm-hmm.
That so
it is now officially a streak. Well done, sir. Very proud of you. But I'm very excited to talk about what we have planned for today. But I assume you have an intro question you want to ask me about.
Yes, well, it's very topical. Maybe you picked up on some of the hints I was dropping in our little opening here. But which weapon would you rather have, Nick? Yondu's arrow fin combination or Ronin's hammer?
Well, the fin looks kind of weird on your head, although the one that Yondu has in the first movie, not as weird.
I would go with the first one. The second one is a little bit too attention-grabbing.
Exactly. I think I would go with the fin arrow combo because, that scene is...
And it's great. It seems effortless. Like, you don't really have to be in good shape or super powerful or strong or anything. You just have to carry a good whistle, which is troublesome for me. Because I can't whistle.
Really?
But I would want Yondu's fin and an arrow combo because, one, like, am I going to have to lug around this hammer? Is it like, proportioned right, like Thor's Mjolnir?
That's very top heavy.
Right,
No shot in hell. That thing is super top heavy.
But it's powerful. It spins a whole head around of who's Thanos's little sidekick.
I don't know what that guy's name is, but he was annoying as shit. Yeah,
the other.
And he also is able to handle the Power Stone too.
Right, and it gets magnified, so that's kind of like a conduit for the Power Stone. There, it can kind of wield some of the power, get some concussive energy force blast out there. So,
but we know it's not as strong as a ship's hull because we saw what happened with Rocket's like makeshift bomb, where he couldn't blow up the Ravager ship, but he could blow up the hammer.
That's a good point. And you can't really it's not stealth. Like you can't keep that in a trench coat or in a pocket or something. Like you can't go into. Not that I would anyway, but like a stadium and past security. With a hammer or something, in those type of situations. So,
right,
you'd be a little bit more stealth with the fin arrow combo there. So, maybe that was a poor question on my part here. I was trying to think of like other things other than Yondu's arrow and fin and like other weapons, and I'm like, Gamora's like Godslayer's sword, but she doesn't really use that all that much.
No, that was the best. That is the second best weapon that we see in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Peter Quill's like blaster boots. Like I feel like that could be useful in everyday life.
Yeah, but I'm taking the arrow. If we're talking weapons, now we're talking like gadgets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The only one would be Rocket's. I forget what his bomb is called and all that. That's the only other thing that would have worked. But even then, I'm taking.
He has so many different things. Like I feel like he doesn't have like one signature weapon.
No, he definitely does not have a signature weapon.
He's just kind of like a mechanic. And if you haven't guessed by this point, we are opening up our MCU Rewatch Vault this week to discuss 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy. So get excited, one of the best MCU films on the market. But before that, Nick, let's stick in the MCU a little bit here. Let's hop over to the Disney Plus, to the small screen, the silver screen, if you will, and get a little update, some thoughts on WandaVision Season 1, Episode 3.
Okay.
In color.
Yes, that's right. It was in color. Yes. And that's the name of the episode too. I thought this was a step in the right direction. Obviously, there's a lot of what the hell is going on moments, especially the ending was jaw dropping and left me thinking like there are a couple different directions they could go in with this. And I'm very excited about how they've handled it so far. And like I thought this was I think them dishing out the first 2 episodes together was a smart move. And I would have liked to see this third one mixed in with it. I saw, on social media, there were a lot of people like, okay, it's fine, the first 2 episodes, but we need a little more. I think the third episode kind of would have calmed that a little bit more, but I think everybody's fine at the end of it all. Like, we're all feeling good going into the 4th episode.
Yeah, and I understand that the yearning to want more out of this. I'm just kind of enjoying the ride. That's kind of my mindset on this, and just kind of accepting everything for what it is. I'm not trying to expect too much out of it. I'm just trying to enjoy the show for what it is, and it's been extremely enjoyable. I think Elizabeth Olsen is just like a knockout in every scene that she's in. She is stunning, physically, and just kind of exudes this kind of great kind of aura about her. So I think she really does a good job of kind of owning this series so far, and rightfully so. But do you have any thoughts on where you think this is going? Like, obviously, the town of Westview, are these actual people, or is this a whole world that Wanda made up?
Okay, so first to touch on your Wanda note, Elizabeth Olsen, this is the best acting she's done in the MCU by far. I mean, she's had moments, but she's never been like, other than her moment, like, you took everything from me, like with Thanos. Other than that, how many holy shit moments has she had? Or amazing.
Yeah, I mean, she hasn't really had an opportunity to kind of be in the main spotlight here so often. And she was really young, right? She was playing essentially a teenager for this whole point. So she's just kind of growing up. So now she's kind of like, getting to wield all of her powers. And it's kind of interesting, right? Because all of her powers kind of seems like it's the Infinity Gauntlet, right? Like, everyone always talks about how her chaos magic is kind of ambiguous and what she can do, but she can manipulate time here, going forwards or backwards. So you get the Eye of Agamotto there. You have the Power Stone, which is obviously very powerful. She's got the Soul Stone. She's bringing back lives, and vision. So it's kind of weird, and obviously she draws a lot of her power from the Mind Stone and the Tesseract, right? That's kind of the thing as well. So she kind of is like a living, breathing, walking Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, I mean, we knew how powerful she was, and that's why the argument is like, when people say Captain Marvel is the most powerful character in the MCU, I kind of want to argue and say, what about Wanda? Now, she can't take a punch like Captain Marvel can, but she can dish it out better.
Her defense. I mean, she may not even get touched.
Right? Exactly. So, like you said, I like the direction that they're going with this. I don't. So, one of your questions was, do I think everybody is like, do some of these people not real or whatever?
Yeah.
I think. Well, we saw that first character, the character at the end. What happened with one of the characters, the side characters in the show, without spoiling things.
Well, no, let's spoil it. Who cares?
You're right. Okay, I forget her name, but the chick with the afro, she gets tossed out. Obviously, she's real.
That's Monica Rambeau.
So
Geraldine.
So okay, the character who Catherine Hahn plays, I forget her name.
Agnes.
Agnes. We've seen her. She's in other like Marvel stories. So she's definitely not a made-up character. Are there others? I want to say the neighbor.
It's like everyone in the town. Like, I think who's the black guy with the afro there? Is it Ron? I'm blanking on his name there. But when they have that scene where he's like clipping the hedges and like Agatha or Agnes is talking to them and whispering, and then Vision kind of sees them. It's like they realize that they're kind of under the spell, and this town of Westview has been kind of taken hostage, for lack of a better term, by Wanda. And they don't want Vision to know, or they don't want to know that they know. Right. It's like even that weird scene with the doctor who he's like, I'm going on vacation, but it's always tough to leave a small town. So it's like you could tell that they're kind of trapped in. And on a very odd side note, I was driving around in Dartmouth over the weekend and passed a upcoming development called Westview Estates.
Really?
Yeah, very crazy.
That is weird. Though, in the whole Vision thing and all this, I don't know what to make of.
He's not real. I don't think he's real at all.
Now, is he a robot? Is he an extension? Like, is it a robot with Vision's memory? So it kind of is Vision again, or are we dealing with? Is it like an extension of Wanda?
See, I think it's an extension of Wanda, because like when you think about even I don't know if it's the first or second episode, but when his boss is choking at the dinner party, Vision doesn't move until Wanda says something. He's just sitting there kind of waiting, and it's like he's almost aware that something bad has happened, but it's like your sleep paralysis fits there. You can't do anything about it. You know what's going on, but can't do anything. And on a side note, quick shout out to Paul Bettany. Might be the longest tenured MCU actor to date. Might be in the
Oh,
most appearances. Like, if you think about his voice work as Jarvis from Iron Man all the way up to WandaVision now, like he's the longest tenured member.
that's a good call. I didn't think
Shout
of
to
that.
Paul Bettany, very well dressed Brit. Like he doesn't get enough due.
Yeah, you're right. He does. He definitely doesn't get his due.
Before we put a bow on this, though, I loved your note that you had here in the show script here about
So
comicbook.com.
So from comicbook.com, they said that apparently Wanda's Sokovian lullaby that we hear towards the end of the episode, you can see the translation of it only if you have Portuguese subtitles on it, and then you take it from that translation.
Which, you're fluent in, so you don't need that. Yeah.
Right, I don't need it. But for those who don't know how to speak Portuguese, you can take that and then insert it into like Google Translate or whatever and get the English translation. And it reads as follows. I waited for you, and this day has come. My heart became a home full of light, full of light. It's 4 lines. So
interesting. Obviously referring to the children there. So do you think the next episode is going to be Vision taking Wanda to the Maury Povich show to find out like who the daddy is?
Well, I don't. What show was this one alluding to?
What do you mean?
Like, well, I didn't like with the first 2 shows. They were alluding to what Bewitched and
it's the Brady Bunch. With the intro and everything.
It was the Brady Bunch.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it was kind of like a play off that.
I thought it was something else. Okay, all right. I just don't know.
Maybe I missed it. That was kind of my first thought. Maybe it's something. A little deeper than that.
It's still before our time. I mean, maybe, I know Doc's in the chat right now. Maybe Doc can help us because he's, one of the elder statesmen of the DSG. I don't know if Billy's around too. I'm pretty sure he's the oldest.
Oh, interesting. Well, sure. She was operating on him. And then, of course, we know that I think Bruce says that the best of, Vision is comprised of a million different thoughts. And it's not just the Mind Stone. It's a million different things and stuff. So maybe the best of them isn't the Mind Stone, right?
And for those who are listening to us on the audio channel, Doc asked us, could it have been something to do with Shuri maybe may have done to Vision? Maybe he is back. I don't know. Well, anyways, moving on. We've talked enough about WandaVision. I also saw this note. I believe this was on CBR that AMC raised $917 million to avoid bankruptcy. So I'm quoting them here. On Monday morning, the theater chain announced that it had acquired an additional $917 million in new equity and debt capital. According to AMC, this will allow AMC to keep functioning as it is throughout most of 2021, which will hopefully give theaters time to open back up in full. And I know Mac and Goo have talked about it quite a bit. When you look at the future of theaters, like, how do you feel about it? Do you think that there's?
I want it to be there. I still think there's a purpose. I think even now you can get like cool deals for like birthdays and stuff where you can like rent out the entire theater for whatever the capacity is for like the area that you're in. So say, you have 20 friends or something like that. You can all socially distance and have like a birthday party or like a viewing party or something like that. So for example, if we all wanted to go as like a DSG group to go screen like, I don't know, a full viewing of Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, say, out there. Like we could do that and buy it out like fairly cheap for like maybe like $120 or something like that. Like, so it's pretty cool that you could, have that opportunity to do that for movies that, are coming out in brand new movies. You wouldn't have that luxury for like an opening weekend or second weekend release of a major release. So
right,
that option is pretty cool. I'm all here for it. If AMC and movie theaters get a little stimmy check, I want a little stimmy check. So just spread all this fake money around. I'm here for it.
Yeah, monopoly money at this point, right? Yeah, but I hope that it's fine. I kind of more so mean like, how do you feel about the future of them? Like obviously with AMC, this is a great sign that they were able to raise this money, but I am worried.
I don't know, man. Anything that I try to say about the predicting what's going to happen post pandemic, like when is post pandemic? When does that timeline start? We're already talking about No Time to Die and Black Widow and a whole bunch of other movies getting pushed back to later in the 2021. So that whole conversation is kind of starting back up again. So it's impossible to predict. You just hope that things kind of start to let up.
Yeah,
I don't have the answer. I don't know.
No, it's so annoying, and we got to keep settling for stuff on the small screen, and we're getting new stuff on the small screen. Like we saw the trailer for Superman and Lois, which is going to be on the CW. You did not watch Green Arrow or Flash, right? Or Legends of Tomorrow?
No, I'm not a CW guy. I've been out on the CW since what is Tim Weisberg's Superman show? Adventures of Lois and Clark. No, Smallville.
Smallville, which is a widely popular show.
I'm a fan of that. I like that show.
Which I actually did not watch that show, and I watched Green Arrow, but it had lulls in it, so it lost me. And Flash, like that was another thing where there's also so many episodes. Oh my God, 22. Look, I give you shit for complaining about 10, but there is definitely a limit for me too, especially when they're all an hour long. Or I guess 40 minutes if you take out the commercials and stuff. But right now we get the commercials, so I like the looks of it. I think I want to give it a chance, but if it's 22 episodes long, I don't know. I really don't. So
you'll have to tell me. Tell me how it goes. So.
You're already out on it. I'm
not going to waste my time with that. Who's got time for that?
And ain't nobody got time for that. So, all right. But what I do have time for is the comic book minute, which is brought to us by roguegrips.com. Use promo code FRIAR to get 25% off your first order. And for those who have questions about that, I actually have my Xbox controller because I got to get the NBA game going a little bit later. But you use these the grips go on the pads of the top of the analog stick on your controllers. And if you have sweaty hands, there's something you're going to need, something that I have coming in the mail to me.
Wicking moisture, perhaps, much like these tech brand new pants that are out there. So many people have wicking moisture pants.
Mm-hmm.
Wick moisture right away. You'll be able to snipe people out from the gulags.
Yeah.
Did I say that right? Do you snipe people in the gulags? I don't know.
Yeah, no, you can snipe people in the gulags. It sucks when you have to deal with snipers because who wants to shoot those things at close range? But
I was going to say, I thought the gulag was like close range melee type of action.
It is. Well, sometimes they unfortunately stick you with a sniper, but you got to do what you got to do to survive, right?
That's it. That's it.
So for this week, there's obviously the Future State books continue to roll on. Dark Detective 2 comes out, which has been, I think, the most popular. That Dark Detective 2 and the next Batman, shocker, they're both Batman-related books, have been the most popular to come out of DC's event. And I will tell you, I was originally going to review one of the Future State books this week, but somebody else has actually taken care of it for Geeks Worldwide. But the book that I was supposed to review, if you guys watched the tie-in that Doc and I do every Fridays, if you watched last week's, you'll know which one I read already. And I'll tell you, it's one that it feels like the DC's doing something to prepare, get fans prepared for beyond outside of the books, because there's stuff we've seen talking with the movies and things like that. So it's very, I think it's not the best book that we've seen from Future State, but it might be the most important, which is crazy to think.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I like that. I like that a lot.
And then the other book that I think is worth, if you're just a casual reader or looking for new stuff, The Witcher Fading Memories, the third issue of that is out this week. Doc and I have both really enjoyed the first two issues of that, and I got to imagine the third one's going to be just as good. And of course, if you want more comics, TLDR is carried on our channel, and it's available wherever you listen to Change My Mind as well. And we'll be doing stuff on Wednesdays. We do the live stream on our Twitter channel, of course, Doc's Twitch as well. That's Wednesdays, 1:30. Doc always tweets that out beforehand. So, all right, Wes, you ready for the main topic?
Yeah, we got the main topic here. We are cracking the code. We are opening up the MCU Rewatch Vault and taking a look at Guardians of the Galaxy with a quick synopsis of it. A group of intergalactic criminals who must pull together to stop a fanatical warrior with plans to purge the universe, Nick.
And it is the cast and crew we have. It's directed by James Gunn, starring Chris Pratt as Star-Lord, Peter Quill, Zoe Saldana as Gamora, Dave Bautista as Drax, Bradley Cooper as Rocket, Vin Diesel as Groot, Lee Pace as Ronan, Michael Rooker as Yondu, and Karen Gillan as Nebula.
Yes, and for a critic reception, it received an 8 out of 10 on IMDb and a pretty sturdy 91-92 split on Rotten Tomatoes with a critic's consensus of, quote, Guardians of the Galaxy is just as irreverent as fans of the frequently zany Marvel comics would expect, as well as funny, thrilling, full of heart, and packed with visual splendor.
And then
Irreverent, tough, man. Like that's
it is. I'm surprised they mentioned the frequently zany Marvel comic. I just really questioned if whoever's reviewing them read Guardians of the Galaxy, because that's another book where it's like nobody read that, and you dealt with Yondu was in the original Guardians of the Galaxy, not
right.
like. Which we find out like they kind of had something like that going on in Guardians 2, but that's for the conversation for another day. As for the box office, it spent 5 weeks at number one, hauled in $772 million, $333 million domestically, and $94 million in the opening weekend. Ranks 13th. I'm stunned by this stat.
Yeah.
Ranked 13th in the MCU box office rankings, behind Guardians 2 and right ahead of Captain America Winter Soldier. I understand it being behind Guardians 2 though, because like everybody loved the first one. Go see the second one.
It's short though. I think it was Guardians 2 made like 778 million or something like that. So there's not much difference between the two of them actually.
That's not well. I mean, look, I know I like Guardians 2, but the first Guardians is no doubt better.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings up a perfect segue, Nicholas. Thank you for that. How about a score and a tweet length review for this movie?
So I gave this a 94 out of 100, which is the score I've had for this for ever since I cared about giving these things grades. It's proof that comedy isn't dead. I could watch this again in a few days and I'd still enjoy every bit of it. And also, I love me a good spaceship battle.
All right, so I think we're in lockstep for the most part here. I'll give this a 92 out of 100. So this right now puts it as my second favorite MCU movie, behind Captain America: The Winter Soldier with a score of 93, with the Avengers at 91, and I think we got Iron Man 3 in there at 89, 90 area as well. But tweet length review, proof Marvel's slugging percentage rivals early 2000s Barry Bonds. Fun, action-packed, and loaded with heart. Chris Pratt is a bona fide star. Dave Bautista can hang outside the ring.
I like that one. That was one of your better ones. And in going back to the rating and stuff, that is also the same grade that I gave Captain America: Winter Soldier, which we talked about. The last MCU Vault that we did, we had Goo on, and we talked about there. I've said this for a while that those two movies are, for me, pretty much on the same playing field. I'm not going to get into like a point. We're not gonna do 0.5. We do it at 100 already as is. We have enough room to work with. But if I had to like which one's ahead, I'm gonna give Guardians the edge. And there's a third movie that falls under that same category with all these other ones where it's like they all have that same grading. I'd probably give it a 94 as well. But we'll get to that another. That's for way down the line.
All right, great. So let's hop right into the categories here. Nick, for the first award, the On Your Left award for the most rewatchable scene. Nick, what is the most rewatchable scene nominee for you?
Okay, I have two. I mean, you have a ton. Let's see. The battle plans right before Xandar, where Quill is trying to get everybody on board to fight alongside him and the Ravengers and save the day. And now we're all standing, bunch of jackasses standing in a circle. So and the fake laugh from Rocket. So I love that one. Yondu taking out Ronan's shoulders on Xandar. This might be the one that gets my vote. We're going to have a couple close ones here, I think. But that one,
and again, this just speaks to like the effortlessness that Yondu puts in. Doesn't even have to move, and he takes out 50 guys scattered over a 1,000 square foot radius or something like a big area.
I haven't counted out, but it had to be 20 guys.
Yeah, a good. He was clearly outnumbered and didn't take a single step.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so I think that just exudes the type of confidence that I would like to have in my life and like to portray. So I would. That's part of the reason why I would want Yondu's fin and arrow. Yeah. But the battle plans right before Xandar. Remind me of that again. Say that one more time.
That's when they're in the circle right after they've all got on Yondu's ship and Quill's trying to convince everybody.
Okay, I got you there. Yeah, okay. I love just in the beginning there. I think this really kicks off the movie. In what is it otherwise? Like I kind of like tone setting, like tone killing cold opening of the movie. But when Peter Quill starts singing "Come and Get Your Love" in the opening scene, that whole planet that he's on looks really dreary. It's dilapidated, it's dark, it's wet, right? It's cold. So you just kind of get that feel. And then as soon as he starts, that you hear that dun 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 dun. It just kind of fills up with all this life and kind of warmth in the scene again, and it kind of puts that smile on your face. So I love that scene, especially as to counterbalance that really dark opening scene, which I wasn't a fan of. We'll talk about that in a moment. The final dance off again. This is Andy. Andy from The Office, or not The Office, Parks and Rec, just at his finest. I think there's a lot of Andy that we see in Parks and Rec in Guardians here. So I think that's just another fun instance. This is kind of more of an honorable mention. I don't think this is really worth it, but I just kind of love the look, the cinematography of this scene. But Groot releasing fireflies, I think. Light up a room. I just thought that was like visually stunning, and I think that's a meme or a snapshot that you see quite often used from the film when you're looking at like photographs or things like that.
It's a good one. I don't know if I've seen it as a meme personally, but
it's not like a meme, but like a snapshot from the movie, not like a GIF even. Like I think that comes up a lot.
Fair enough. It's a very impressive moment in the course of it all. Any others?
The battle on Xandar, right? I think these are the top two that would rival yours for connections. The battle on Xandar, and then there's the escape from prison scene. The battle of Xandar is nice because it's against all of them. It's kind of in public. They're all kind of like tripping over themselves, so it's not real serious. The escape from prison does have a lot more heightened stakes, but a lot of laughs throughout it. You got the foot that he needs, that Peter Quill has to transfer 30,000 units to, and all that stuff. So I think the escape from prison is probably the scene that establishes and shows each character's best points. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Now, so you're going with. So does that mean the escape from prison would be your nominee?
Yes.
All right.
Long way around it, but yes.
Okay, so I'm going with Yondu taking out Rodan's shoulders because Battle of Xandar. I mean, that's such there's so much stuff that goes on in it. I feel like it's not. I think it's just all encompassing. So I want to just focus on this one moment. Now I know Mac and Goo resolved their disputes now over if it's not a thing that they agreed upon to vote already, they're flipping a coin. So I was thinking we try something different where. You're gonna cover your eyes, and we can do this vice versa sometimes too. You cover your eyes. Okay. I'm gonna hold up a number 1 or 2. The audience can see what number it is, and then you try and guess if it's 1 or 2. If you get it right, then we go with yours. If we get it wrong, then we go with mine. Sound good?
Fair enough.
All right, cover your eyes.
Okay.
Go ahead. What number is it?
2.
You got it right.
You
cheated. He cheated. He cheated. All right.
I say that every time I get it right.
No, I'm not. I promise so. All right.
Prison it is.
Escape from prison it is. All right. So that brings us to the America's Ass Award for what aged the best, Wes?
Yes. What aged the best? I'm trying to look for this in our little
well, I'll tell you, like for me, I know you have a couple nominees, but in general, this movie just ages phenomenally. It doesn't no matter how you feel about the second Guardians, you're still gonna love the first one. You didn't care about the comics before, more than likely. I know I didn't care about their comics, and I've tried to make a point to go back and at least read Rocket and Groot stuff, even though it's more for younger kids. I just think that in general, this property we can put it that way. The property of Guardians of the Galaxy has aged the best.
Yeah, okay. I would say that maybe falls under along the same lines as the Battle of Xandar. It's very all-encompassing, but I see your point, and I respect your point. But I think a couple of smaller nominations would be just the depiction of space. I thought it was very beautiful. The CGI on that. Like I think of that scene where I don't know if they're on the Milano, but Gamora and Star-Lord are kind of overlooking this like observation deck, and it's like this great kind of mosaic of colors and clouds and space and everything. It's like green and orange, and it just looks really cool. So I think their depiction of space, I thought that was very fun and kind of futuristic and space. Spacey, right? That's a good way to describe space.
Yeah, spacey, absolutely.
Yeah, spacey there. But also Bradley Cooper's voice acting phenomenal. I'm sure you've probably seen the clips go around, whether he's been for Avengers Endgame or Infinity War or anything, but to watch him actually do the voice acting, it takes his role to a whole nother level, and the life and character that he kind of breathes into a CGI character. I think it's amazing. And to your credit, that's one of your favorite characters from this movie.
Number one.
For great reason too. Right?
Number one favorite Marvel MCU character, period, is Rocket Raccoon. And I actually think in general that character ages well throughout all the movies, because as much we see him talk less, we see more of him in Guardians 2, and I still thought he was great in that. We don't hear a ton from him in Infinity War. We actually see quite a bit of him, and him and Thor are a great pair. And then in Endgame, we see less of him, but whenever he's on screen, I feel like it's a home run. So I love me Rocket. So you could say Rocket ages extremely well from this.
Yeah, and I think Bradley Cooper, you forget that it's him, because he has that kind of like Brooklyn, Philly, thick city accent type of thing, that you forget it's him. So I think that's also a kudos. It's so easy when you get to be that big of an actor, to just see, oh, this is Brad Pitt playing a role, or this is Leonardo DiCaprio playing a role. So I think that's also nice too.
I agree with that one. That one I'll give you that one. That one's my vote.
Okay. All right. Well, we do have adult Groot. It's been a long time since we've seen Groot in action, and he is very formidable. You kind of forget that he is pretty much unstoppable in anything that he does. So I think that's, something that could have come handy in Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
That was just playing fucking video games, asteroids, right?
Yeah. But at least the kid, woke up when he needed to sacrifice his arm, right? Or felt
when he had to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The soundtrack too. I think this is the big winner. The soundtrack of the movie, I think, is fantastic. We'll get into a little bit more of that later. But I think we talk about this often in this Dorkshire universe, but the soundtrack is almost like its own character in a lot of ways. In this movie.
Yeah, you know what? I love Rocket. I do, but I think you're right. I think we got to give it to
my nomination was Bradley Cooper's voice acting specifically.
Okay, well,
Rocket.
No, I understand what you mean. I understand but it's Rocket related, so that's why I was going to vote for it. But I think the soundtrack deserves it here. I think
it's got to be the soundtrack, right? I mean, it's an amazing soundtrack.
Yeah. All right. So I downloaded the "Hooked on a Feeling" after seeing this movie. I think I might have had a couple other songs, but I made a point to get that one.
So there you go.
All right. So next we move from America's Ass to the Mirror Match Villain Award for what aged the worst. What do you got for me?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot here. Again, we both love this movie. I think we've been pretty adamant about that. But like I said a little bit earlier, the cold open hospital scene, I understand that sets up what's to come, and in the first movie, and what drives Peter throughout this whole series of him. Definitely more so in the second movie, but very very harsh to open up a movie that we really have no idea what to expect. You really are kind of out on a limb if you're going to see this movie in the theaters, and it opens up with this very dark cancer scene with his mother dying. And little Peter Quill freaking out and everything like that. So it just not for me. And then again, even up until the point where that music starts playing, where adult Peter Quill is about to go, steal the Power Stone orb, right until that music starts playing, it's very dark and dreary. You're kind of wondering what this whole movie's feel is going to be.
What's it steal? What does it all mean?
Yeah. Well, what's the deal? Yeah.
I think Guardians 2 was the first movie that I saw in theaters by myself. I don't know why I think this one is, but I remember when seeing the stuff at the beginning thinking, what is this stuff? Because I had no clue about the Guardians or any of these characters going into it. And now they just, it's so weird to think about it that way, but it's something I will always remember when I think about the first Guardians movies. Like I had no expectations. I was like, oh, this is kind of stink. I think that's what I thought. This is going to stink, because Marvel had proven itself, but not to the level of like, it's beyond question, where it's kind of like at that Belichick point, although Belichick's not gone the other direction, but like where he was before Brady, where it's like, you can't you shouldn't question him, or it's like, you got to be careful how you question him. Really got to pick your spots. The same with Marvel is kind of there now. They were at that point with Guardians when it came out.
Yeah, no. I think that pushed him over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is the success of this movie here. So that's my nominee, the cold open hospital scene.
Now, mine is, we it's funny, it's a mirror match villain award because so often in the MCU we feel like you get a villain who's like they're the same thing as the hero, or like in Loki's case it's his brother, so you're doing all that kind of stuff. He's technically a god, whatever, how you want to look at it. Well, Ronan's not that. In this, you have 5 heroes plus that whole fleet of Ravagers trying to fight Ronan and his army, and no one can really handle Ronan. Like one-on-one, they make Drax so much weaker than he is in the comics after researching the character and everything. I mean, this is like I don't know how he would have played it. Like the part would have been in the grand scheme of things if he didn't die. But if he's still alive, he friggin' hates Thanos by the end of it all. Remember, he's like, when I take out Xandar, I'm coming for you. So, I mean, like, I want to put it as in like it is the worst, but it fits under another category as well. But
yeah, I think I'll save my my comments for that point there. But it ties into a lot of what you're saying, and Ronan was not one of my favorite parts in this. And I think he had a difficult role in this movie. As I was reading, I think it was James Gunn or maybe another one of the writers on the production had expressed that they had a lot of trouble with this because of a certain reason. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But I agree, Ronan dying, it's tough because like he wasn't great, right? So do you want to keep him around for that point? But I do think that angle of having a anti-villain, anti-hero type thing situation in Avengers Endgame, where he kind of puts aside his differences with the Guardians and the Avengers to kind of help out, and the enemy of my enemy is my friend sort of thing. So I think that's kind of an interesting idea that they could have delved into if they kept him alive. But I don't have too much of a problem with that.
Where are you going with the vote then? So you're going with yours?
Yeah, I'm just sticking with myself throughout. Yeah.
Oh wow. Well, you better not.
There's on me today.
There's a couple. You better not. I will. I'm fine with continuing to the cold open in the hospital scene because in the end, it's like Ronan dying does, in fairness, kind of makes sense. For the sake of the movie and everything. All right, we are now on to the Quantum Realm Award for unanswerable questions. And I swear to God, if you don't vote for mine, we're going to have to do the 1-2 thing because mine is outstanding.
Fair enough here. Why are the Quills horrible at parenting?
Okay, well, single mother.
Again, this goes back to the cold opening scene, but like they just keep they keep young Peter Quill just out in the hallway the whole time, bring him in, for the final words, the final breath or whatever. He's clearly freaked out and not cool with the situation. And then after she passes, he has a complete meltdown. And who's it? The uncle? Is it the uncle at this point? Just takes him outside and just says, hey, you stay out here, and they just leave this kid who just lost his mother out in the hallway of a hospital while everyone else grieves. And like no one tends to him. They have no thought, he's just allowed to leave the hospital and get abducted by aliens while they're all grieving. It's like very selfish, they're not aware of the child's feelings that he's losing his mother. Like, I don't know. I have a little bit of a problem with that.
Yeah, it was strange. But like you said, that's the one part. It's like that's the whole, that scene and everything that goes around those moments at the beginning.
I don't know. It seems like the whole tone of it just seems very opposite of what the rest of the movie is.
They just needed to, have Peter's mother pass, and then they needed to give Peter a reason to want to run away so he could get abducted, I guess. Because you couldn't have him playing outside or whatever. Why wouldn't you do that? I don't know. But
I don't know. Yeah, who knows? Would Rocket Raccoon be the most sensitive member in the DSG?
Because, I don't know.
He almost shoots Drax just because he gets called vermin. They're out at nowhere and they're betting on all these lizard things and stuff. They're all getting hammered and stuff. Few drinks in, and he's crying and saying everyone's picking on me, and you don't know what it's like. You hurt my feelings, Drax.
You know what? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say, first of all, no. And second of all, I don't appreciate how you're talking about Rocket. He's clearly been tortured.
What's up with that?
I'm sorry?
Then defend your boy. What's up with that?
I'm in the middle of that right now. I'm actually trying to defend him. He is not the only one who gets sensitive throughout the course of things. I would say that, let's see. Peter Quill, fine. All right, he's not sensitive. Groot, I would say, isn't sensitive. But Gamora, she gets a little bit testy at times. She's pretty emotional. And I understand she's gone through some shit, but so has Rocket. And I would say Drax is not necessarily the most rational human being, so I feel like he gets upset once in a while. No? I think I'm pretty sure that he does. So I mean, what is Rocket the most sensitive one there?
Because people are just calling him names.
I think he's also tortured early on in his life. Like he's not supposed to be standing up. He's not supposed to be erect and have like
so cry about it, man. Like I don't care. That sounds like a personal problem.
He also said the same thing to Drax too. Drax, how about Drax? Well, is this more of a sensitivity thing or a rational thing with Drax, or is it both? Because his move, like you want to talk about somebody being drunk and stupid. What the fuck does Drax do? Oh, hey, I've been drinking too much and I'm upset, so I'm going to go and call Ronan here.
That's a pretty bad move. He would get kicked out of the group pretty quickly, I think, if that happened.
Yeah, I would say so. There are just some things, Wes, that you don't do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I think I've made my point. Anyways, do you have any others before I get to mine?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if that makes him sensitive or so. But last one, this goes back to something I'd already mentioned before. How is Groot, a tree, able to give off light? Those fireflies that I mentioned. Yeah, I went back and kind of researched this. There was like no history of him in the comics ever doing anything like that. So it was just kind of like this weird, mystical, Jesus-like thing.
Well, he's not just a tree, but I don't know how he does it. I think that is a very good unanswerable question. But mine is the best one. Okay. Would Ronan have stopped Thanos if the Guardians hadn't stopped him? Boom. I don't think the best unanswerable question we've had yet.
Well, because he has the Power Stone at this point, right?
He has the Power Stone. He can kick ass for that shit. We've seen like we saw what it did to Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel was kicking Thanos' ass. So if somebody else had it to kick Thanos' ass, what happens?
Yeah, and we know Thanos is very skilled. He's a very skilled fighter. You know, he essentially dismantled Hulk, right, without using any. Just in like hand-to-hand combat, pretty much, right? So we know he's strong. He's very powerful, just without any Infinity Stones in general. But to this point, no one had successfully like wielded an Infinity Stone, right? Is that safe to say?
Yeah, we hadn't seen one. Well, we hadn't seen one person wield it, other than the girl who was it the collector's
right. But I mean, in prior MCU movies, I'm not missing anything there, right? This is the first time that like an Infinity Stone has really been used.
Well, yeah, used in the way it's meant to be used, because Jane Foster did have the ether within her, right? And actually, we saw Malekith had it too.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
I forgot, but it's Thor: The Dark World, so I mean,
yeah, that's forgettable there. But again, so. That's kind of my point there. Is that I think if you have the power of one Infinity Stone, you're like automatically the most powerful person in the universe, right? So it's got to be Ronan.
Yeah. So I think that's like I don't know. The thing is, Wes, I hadn't thought of that ever until this last rewatch.
Oh,
holy
a little galaxy brain moment.
Seriously, I was blown away by that one. So that's like I said, I had some in here that I will argue with you to the death that they deserve these awards, and that was one of them. We move on to the where is it? What does it all mean award for Easter eggs? Do you have any?
Well, I added one here to your note about Howard the Duck, which was the end credit scene, right? Getting shown in the collector's studio there. It was voiced by Seth Green, and it's actually he's sitting on top of Adam Warlock's cocoon.
I did not know that last part.
I think it's a prototype. I'm not sure if it's the exact one, because of course that exact one gets used by at the end scene of Guardians 2, right? And we'll call him Adam. It's this big golden one, right? So maybe it's for another one or something that didn't work before, but that's what the internet told me.
Oh, well, the internet's never been wrong before, but wow, I didn't know that. Speaking of Howard the Duck, we also see Cosmo the Space Dog in the collector's collection place. We also see a dark elf in I think the first time that we see the collector in this movie. Let's see what else. In Rocket's mugshot. Oh, what?
Oh, yeah, no, go ahead.
In Rocket's mugshot on Xandar, his oh no, wait a minute. His home planet is listed as Half-World, and his known associate Lila is a friend, and I know her as, I think she was a lover of his in the comics when I was looking.
Yeah, that's what it says. There's a friend and then a significant other in the comic books. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In Avengers Infinity War, Thanos said Gamora's race thrived after killing off half the planet's population, but in Gamora's mugshot, she's known as the last survivor of her people. So which one is it?
That's why do they not dig into that more? How did she not know that? That's a good one, actually.
I tend to think that it was
really
just Thanos lying to Gamora.
Yeah. How did she not know, though? And in the course of
never went back there, right? Why would she want to go back and relive that memory?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I mean, this question is like, how did it happen to them? How was she the last one? Did he actually kill them all? Or, anyways, Stanley cameo. That's actually a good unanswerable question, I would think too. The Stanley cameo. He's an old man hitting on a young woman. So again, like it feeds into he's one of the Watchers. He's not Uatu though, but and also we see a celestial being holding using the Power Stone in a similar manner to which Ronan did in one of the flashbacks.
And does that kind of look like a staff that looks similar to the markings of the helmet of Galactus? Right, I feel like that had real Galactus vibes in there.
Might have.
If you were a fan of the YouTube fan theory channels and whatnot. Some people said that was the first allusion to Galactus.
Huh. Okay. That's not a bad one. That's all right. I think. I like yours. The Thanos Gamora one. That was a good addition. I'm going to go with that.
Okay, I like that. Let's do that.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So we now move on to your specialty, the Shield Internet Sleuth Award for internet research on the movie.
Yes, James Gunn beat out future MCU directors Peyton Reed, of course, from Ant-Man, and directing duo Anna Bodden and Ryan Fleck from Captain Marvel to direct this movie.
Okay. Solid.
Pretty cool stuff there. Special effects makeup designer David White and his team created upwards of 1,000 prosthetic makeup applications and 2,000 molds of different colored aliens. So this was part of a big thing that James Gunn wanted, because there was going to be so much CGI use in this movie that just had to happen, that he wanted as many practical effects on there as possible. So that's why you see so much makeup involved in a lot of these characters here too. So
that one's nuts. That one's a really good one. That one, holy crap.
This is going back to the soundtrack. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 Awesome Mix topped the Billboard Top 200 charts, becoming the first movie soundtrack composed of previously released songs to achieve the feat.
Okay, so a little PCP love there.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, real quick before you go. They did, I can't remember. They ranked soundtracks from, right? Like they
from
did
the 90s with Mac and Goo.
It was from the 90s. Okay, that's what it was. All right, fair enough.
Still very controversial there. That no Forrest Gump on a lot of Disney.
I thought they did one with Shime too. It was Goo and Shime was on with them, because you're right. They did do something on Mac and Goo, but they also did something on.
That was Disney songs.
I thought there was a second one too. But okay, all right.
Dealing with children too. Yeah, no, one was just like Disney songs.
Yeah, that was
one was like Disney musical or musical soundtracks from the night. I don't know.
Yeah,
they need a little bit more ideation over there.
That's not one that should be left off. Is more my point. I feel like it was left off, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, maybe. After the debut of the trailer, Blue Suede's version of "Hooked on a Feeling," which was prominently used throughout the trailer, went up 700% in sales to Following Dead.
Yeah, I mean, I like the song because it's in the movie. I would not listen to it outside of.
Oh, it's a great song.
Having that in mind.
Beautiful song. A nice family feel on a Sunday. Maybe you're having like a big extended, Sunday early dinner, meal of the seven fishes. You want to play that music in the background. It's a good family feel.
Sure. That is an oddly specific example, but go ahead.
Chris Pratt lost the best shirtless scene in the 2015 MTV Movie Awards to Zac Efron for his performance in Neighbors. Also, Efron won the award in 2014 for his work in That Awkward Moment.
Oh, good for Zac Efron. I'm all set with that guy. I've been all set with him since he first came out. And what was it? What was that movie? High School Musical.
Sure. The Awkward Moment. Have you seen that movie?
Nope.
There's Michael B. Jordan, who played in Fan Four Stick alongside our boy Reed Richards. There, what's his
Miles Teller.
Miles Teller? Yeah, good movie.
I'm not seeing that because I don't like 2 out of those 3 actors. So one of
Okay.
them has a very, very punchable face, and that's Miles Teller.
Miles Teller, yeah, I think you've said that before. I don't disagree with that, but I like him though. The Edith Award for Even Dead on the
Wait. Which one are we voting for on this one?
Oh, well, you tell me. What would you like?
I think I'm going with the makeup design stuff. That one impressed the hell out of me.
Okay, let's do that.
Right.
I'm okay with that.
All right, awesome.
I do like the 700% in sales on Hooked on a Feeling. That's pretty interesting.
Well, we could do a little quick thing here.
Well, close your eyes, Nick.
All right. You got your number up?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to go with 2.
You got it. Okay.
All right, awesome. All right, that brings us to the Edith Award, Even Dead, I'm the Hero, for who won the movie. My nominee is Rocket, of course.
Yes, and no surprise there. My first nomination was the makeup artist. Again, how much time they had to spend on all of this. That was one of my big takeaways from the rewatch here, was just how, again, practical effects that were used there, makeup and all that stuff and prosthetics. So the soundtrack was my other option, again, for all the reasons that we mentioned above. And the last one, I think, is Dave Bautista, because he kind of goes on a little mini run after this. Wasn't really given, had a whole lot of like straight to home release movies after, trying to become an actor, spinning out of the WWE. And after getting this chance, he goes on to do Spectre, the James Bond film, as one of the villains there, as well as Blade Runner 2049, where he plays a really interesting role in there. And then I think he does like Spy Nanny or Nanny Spy or like some other kind of like kid type movies, but he's the lead actor in them too. So now he's getting like more respect, more money, bumping up that pay. So I think this really was a big breakout performance for Dave Bautista.
I would say on the soundtrack note, it's more the artists featured on the soundtrack, probably specifically Blue Suede, based off the success that they had that you brought up over in the Shield Award. And I would give Blue Suede, even though we didn't have them listed, my number 2 really in the grand scheme of things. Dave Bautista is the number 1, is the Edith Award winner in this one for sure in my book.
Yeah, and I think I think you have to mention Chris Pratt, as a bona fide lead actor at this point, because I don't know if it was this movie or Jurassic World, which came first, but I feel like they're right around the same time that you could buy him from being like the schlubby, funny side, friend of the main character in a movie, whether that's like the 5-Year Engagement or even his role on Parks and Rec, being like the lead heartthrob hunk.
Yeah, and it was, this one came first. That one came out in, I believe, 2015. Okay. And another one too, who you've mentioned this before, like you've mentioned Vin Diesel's agent for getting him the role, but exactly. It's his agent. He's a huge winner in this. Vin Diesel's a huge winner in this because it's just a simple award, and he's gotten 2-3 other movies out of it, I guess, or 4.
And I may be mistaken, but I think he also had to be in like the top billing or something like that. Like he had to be like 4th on the call sheet, 3rd on the call sheet or something like that, even though he was only doing voice work. Like he's like the 3rd person listed on the credits.
He is. I thought him and Bradley Cooper both got like with Brad.
So I think when you go down the list here, so I copy when we do the cast and crew here. Let's look back at it.
Well, either way, like I'm pretty sure that they have the width, and I think like at the end, and I believe that makes them slightly more prominent because like you have this cast, and, like these characters are important, but like the actors that portray them are just so like you need to set aside separately.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to go back on IMDb and check that because I thought he was highly ranked, so I could be wrong about that. But
I give my vote to Dave Bautista 100%. And I would. I mean, you've got to agree with me on that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right. That brings. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, the Sad Bucky Barnes Award for who lost the movie here, and really one main choice. I'll put an honorable mention for Nebula. She didn't have too big of a role in this. She definitely gets a bigger role in Guardians 2 and then the Avengers Infinity War and Endgame there. But it's got to be Ronan, right?
So I didn't have a nominee for this because you put Ronan down first. 1,000% agree with you.
And again, I think he loses this movie because he's in this tough spot because they obviously wanted to introduce Thanos in this. And this is what I was referring to before, is that James Gunn didn't want to have Thanos play a role in this, but he felt like they had to for the overall arc of the MCU, Infinity Saga that they're trying to do there. Because, having him undermine and belittle Ronan almost makes him look like a futile villain. And it's kind of surprising to you when Ronan, can easily dismantle Drax and on the battle on Xandar and everything, or nowhere there. He can really just defeat everybody. It's kind of surprising just because you see him so belittled and emasculated by Thanos.
Yeah.
So it's kind of in a rock and a hard place there that you never really respected him as a villain because you already knew there was someone higher up than him.
Right. I thought, look, and the other thing is too, in the grand scheme of things, sometimes we take it as who lost the movie, if it's an actor, how things went for them afterwards or whatever. But also, Ronan also lost the movie. He ended up losing. So it's just so many in your ways, which is a much more in-depth way to look at it. And then in just the simple fact of he ended up dying. So Ronan lost. He didn't achieve his goal. He's a loser. So he lost against a tree, a raccoon, and then 3 idiots or 2 idiots in Gamora. Yeah. So he's the number one loser in this one for sure. We have the J. Jonah Jameson Award for Best Performance by a Side Character. I just want to mention that there's one clear answer, and I know you have it written down. Korath, played by Jamon Honsu, I believe is how you say his name. He's Ronan's lead henchman. I thought that his first interaction with Quill to then have him call him Star-Lord at the end, just a nice little callback and everything. And then also, again, upon rewatch, I hadn't really noticed this before, but when Ronan takes the Power Stone and then grabs his hammer to put it, the stone on the hammer, Korath has his hammer. And I noticed this time around, Korath is handing it to him, here's this badass alien henchman or whatever, and he's not afraid of anything. But now he's handing it to him with this look on his face, shit, I don't want to give this to him. Get away from me. All right. So it's just a couple moments out of him, but I really enjoyed what he did. But again, he's just an honorable mention.
And he comes back too, right? Wasn't he in Captain Marvel?
He was in Captain Marvel. That's right. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen that since we first watched it and reviewed it. That was wild.
Yeah, exactly. So you said it's no doubt. I think this one actually kind of gives a little bit of a conversation, an argument to this here. Is Corpseman Day by John C. Reilly. Very short performance, but he's hysterical in there the whole time. Talking about kind of making fun of Star-Lord and his name and all that stuff when they're just bringing him in. Just the way he talks to Nova Prime, Glenn Close's character there. I think it's just classic John C. Reilly in a role that you wouldn't really expect him in. I kind of see this as like a Matt Damon in Thor Ragnarok thing. It's a big surprise. It's great. And very short, meteoric type of run where it's just kind of flash on the screen. Great. But I think The Collectors is the one that we really want to discuss here.
Yeah. I don't know how you don't want to go with The Collector right away, Wes. I mean, look, John C. Reilly I thought was fine. He was pretty funny. But that's one of the things where in time I can't remember if I laughed when I first saw him, but he's fine. Maybe a chuckle when I was rewatching it. But with The Collector, he's just so extravagant and so ridiculous with his when he gets so excited over the stone and everything. He's got Rocket mocking him afterwards too. He's like, how do we get paid? So I really thought he did a good job. Again, he was not on, we're going to see a side character. We only see so much of him, but I liked him. He really I don't know if I say chooses the scenery, but he steals the show when he's on camera.
He's my biggest disappointment, and and doing a little bit of research here, the character is my biggest disappointment, not Benicio del Toro, the performance, just because you get so little of him, and he seems like such an interesting character that you just want to see more of and kind of expounded on, right? Mm-hmm. And it kind of goes into, so James Gunn never really told Benicio del Toro his direction or his idea of what he wanted of the Collector, and it was every time he would show up on set to do something, he would give him a little bit more. Because he wanted Benicio, who's obviously a great actor, right? Academy Award winner, to kind of find that breath and that kind of reach of the character on his own and kind of develop into it and have that freedom to kind of go anywhere, not necessarily put him in a box of the direction that, Gunn wanted him to go in. So that was kind of the idea of it. So we never really know, what his whole deal is. No one really knows, right? Because it's just kind of this we'll kind of figure it out as we go along type of deal with his performance. So, I really love that. I kind of hate that they killed him off in Infinity War.
Yeah, it was Infinity War.
Because I think
they lead us to believe he's dead.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, they lead us to believe he's dead. So,
but why not pop him in like a little bit more? Like I think he would be a great addition, almost like Nick Fury is in a lot of these movies, where he pops up a little bit and has a little scene, 5 minutes, 2 minutes here.
Yeah, I think it would. I think that is a great way to put it. Have him be like Nick Fury. We only see him so often, and we saw him in it was Thor: The Dark World. We saw him, and then we see him in this, and then there's mention of him another time, I believe. But yeah, it was real. I thought I like the character a ton, and that's why. But that's why, Wes, like, I give this award to the collector for sure.
No, I agree. I just think more of a conversation. Corpseman Day, give it a little bit of love to Day over there.
Yeah, he's fine. He was fine. All right, so we move over to the casting what is, which is the Terrence Howard Award, another one of your specialties, Wes. What do you got for me?
Yeah, so this is a category we've kind of put on ice over the last few times because we've had so many sequels, right? So many sequels and ensemble movies. There hasn't been a need for huge characters to be introduced. But first here we have Peter Quill, obviously going to what's his name? Why can't I? Chris Pratt.
Yeah, sure.
Name there. But it was Joel Egerton was up for the role. Eddie Redmayne, Zachary Levi, JGL, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Michael Rosenbaum from the aforementioned Smallville show.
Oh, okay.
Bald guy. Any of those stick out to you?
Zachary Levi might have been able to do this based on what we saw in Shazam. I don't think that's too much of a stretch for him.
Yeah, I could see that. Not Eddie Redmayne or Joel Egerton.
No, and no thank you on Joseph Gordon-Levitt too. Michael Rosenbaum.
Yeah, Michael Rosenbaum seems to have that kind of like sarcastic, snarky type of attitude. But I couldn't see it physically. I couldn't see him adopt it. I think he probably has the attitude of a Peter Quill, but it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. Yeah, so Levi is the only one I could say it could have done it, but I still Pratt's.
It's Chris Pratt's to lose though, 100%. Drax the Destroyer, Isaiah Mustafa. Are you familiar with this name?
No, I'm looking.
I had to search this.
Oh, this is the Old Spice guy.
Yeah, he was like on the horse and everything, and it's like your man could smell like this commercials. Well, apparently he played a wide receiver at Arizona State University, so that's also
no way.
Yeah. So he was up for the role. Jason Momoa was up for the role, as you could probably. I feel like Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista probably see each other on audition studios like all the time. Like they're probably just always up for the same role. But Brian Patrick Wade, who is a Shield actor, actually later ended up playing on Shield, and he's like a TV actor, was also up for the role. Big guy.
I think I think I remember him. I'm pretty sure he was the villainous character, but honestly, Momoa probably could have handled. Momoa. I don't know how I would have felt about Momoa. Obviously, he can pull off the look, but I think Mustafa is the only other one who I would say would do this, just because we've seen like his character where we get like the dryness of Drax. I think I don't know how Momoa would have done with that.
So Momoa, the one thing I'll give for Momoa is that he's done those, I think it's the Geico commercials where it's like direct TV and satellite, and it's like really scrawny Jason Momoa or something like that. Like that's a really funny, dry commercial. I can't really recall it, but I remember thinking like that's pretty good and a funny way that he could kind of poke fun at himself. Whether that's the same type of like humor, I don't know, but I think he could have it in him. And what's great about Drax is that the look is going to be built on your body anyway, so you can just be a jack dude, Yeah,
you're right. I
do think you want kind of like that Brock Lesnar, Dave Bautista kind of like hulky.
Yes, the traps are just so excessive.
No neck, kind of huge, thick neck. Like I feel like Isaiah Mustafa might be too tall and lean. He's muscular, obviously, but he might be too tall and lean.
That's a fair point. I'll say though, right now, for the sake of the award, I think I know you got one more. I think Drax is going to get the potential casting options. I'm going to go with Drax. Definitely the better options.
Yeah, and I did forget to mention Lee Pace, who played Ronan, was actually up for Peter Quill as well.
Really?
Yeah. So it's funny how that kind of works out because like you see that with Loki, right? And there he was up for Thor, but they ended up going for the villain. And so I wonder,
that changes. That changes things. I think I might have to go with Peter Quill then.
Okay.
For the casting what ifs. I gotta go. That's a good one. Wow. That's a big okay.
And then only one for Gamora here. And it was kind of funny. Amanda Seyfried, she was offered the part before Zoe Saldana. And she turned it down because she thought it would be too much time sitting in the makeup chair, which it probably would have. But I see Amanda Seyfried as like a better option for Mantis with her big eye, like big bug eye. I kind of see that like a little bit more. Zoe Saldana, although she's probably very petite, comes across like stronger than Amanda Seyfried.
Yes.
Amanda Seyfried kind of seems more like classic girly.
I agree.
Prissy sounds bad, but you know what I mean.
I think you put that perfectly. I don't like that the fact that they offered that to her first at all. But
yeah, it's interesting, right?
It all worked out for the best in the end. But I think the Peter Quill what ifs cast, because we have the guy who played Ronan in there. That to me gets my vote for the Terrence Howard Award.
I love it. Let's do that.
All right. So now this one's my personal favorite, the I Am Inevitable Award. I got a few of these, Wes, but would you like to start off with what you have?
I just have one because this one always makes me laugh. I enjoy it. It's Thanos speaking to Ronan after he kills the other. He's like, "Your politics bore me." I don't know why, but just the way that it's said, it just tickles me. It tickles me every time.
I never looked at that one as a funny moment.
It's such a weird thing to say. Your politics bore me. It sounds like something like a rich royal person would say.
Well, look who we're dealing with. But you're right. It is a weird line for sure. Okay, now this is the category that my last one. I'll save it for last. It is the absolute best one, and this one has to win. No questions asked. All right, first we have I Am Groot. Of course, it gets used a ton of times. How could you forget? All right, this is from Gamora. I know who you are, Peter Quill, and I'm not some starry-eyed waif here to succumb to your pelvic sorcery. I don't know how pelvic sorcery does not get used more often in daily conversation.
It should. We should kind of shoehorn that in there, I think.
Yeah, I agree. This one comes from Drax. Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast. I would catch it, which I believe I used something like that in the roast when Billy was making fun of me.
Did you get it?
Yeah, I don't think Billy got it.
Oh,
it's too bad. All right, this one I got a few rockets for you here. Now I'm standing. Happy? We're all standing now. Bunch of jackasses standing in a circle. I love that moment. The fake laugh back and forth too. I can't use. He says that's a fake laugh, and he says it's real. I can't really use that as a quote, but it's a good one. Then when Quill reveals that he has, in that moment where he reveals that he has 12% of a plan, Groot defends him and says, "I am Groot," to which Rocket says, so what is better than 11%? What does that have to do with anything?
I love that too. It's great. I feel like something that would be something I might say in a group. It's like, well, better than 11% of a plan. And they're like, what are you offering to the situation at all?
I love that moment. Oh man,
that's good.
That one might get my vote if not for my last one, but I have two more from Rocket. Ain't no thing like me except me. We've heard variations of that like that in time, but I still love it. And then Star-Lord says, "I look around and you know what I see? Losers."
Yeah.
So I feel like when we did our golf outing, you should have given us a pep talk beforehand, and you should have said that. But the number one quote in this movie, no brainer, comes from our guy Drax. "Finger to the throat means death," and he says that as he's ripping out that like piece in I had his name written down, Korath's like head. Can you imagine that, Wes? The last words you ever hear before basically your brain gets ripped out of your skull is "finger to the throat means death."
Yeah. Not even using, it doesn't even make sense. You don't even know what to make sense of those final words are. That's a tough way to go up with my man Korath.
It's like that. There is not we've talked about it before. They're like, what's the worst way to die or whatever? That's got to be up there. Getting your brain ripped out and then someone saying something stupid like that. Like, I just lost to this fucking idiot and now I'm going to die. And Billy's in the chat. Look at that. Good to see you, Bill. All right. Anyways, so are you with me on that vote, Wes?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm good with that. Although I think the pelvic sorcery is a good one too.
Yeah. This one, I mean, there's the thing with like finger to the throat means death. I guess you could mix that into daily conversation if you like did the like throat thing. But there are a few that you can mix in here. But again, this is why comedies like is proof this comedy's not dead because there are a lot of funny ass lines in this movie.
Well, this movie came out like 6 years ago too. You know,
that's true. But even then, Wes, I mean, wasn't Will Ferrell like kind of on the way down at that point too?
Yeah. Well, Will Ferrell isn't the end all be all of comedies. You know,
I know, but I felt like when he kind of went downhill, everything went downhill with comedy. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Perhaps.
Whatever. We're not here to talk about that. Do you have anything else on the movie before we slide over to the quarantine?
No, it's a great movie. You should go out and watch it. It's available on Disney Plus.
that it is. If you haven't seen it before,
yeah.
I don't know why you're listening.
2 thumbs up here.
I don't know why you're listening to this episode of our show. Wes, what's going on with you outside of getting ready for the show?
Not much. I went out to a lovely brunch yesterday with the wife. Lovely, called the West End in Hyannis. Just beautiful, blown away. Great food, great decor. Going back there next week.
Oh,
lady again. Yeah, just made reservations before we left. That's how excited we were. We are 2 for 2 in new restaurants that we've tried, just being blown away. So
really
keep this streak going. Not a streak, it's a trend.
So that's right. So that's in Hyannis. Where's the other one that you really liked? Is it in Bourne?
I might have mentioned it before on the show. The Atlantic Bistro in Marion. Lovely little French restaurant off Route 6.
Okay. So dinner place?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Bistro, dinner place. Okay. All right. Oh, okay.
But the West End is open for lunch, dinner, and brunch. So
I may have. I'm working a lot more nights lately, so I may end up going with that one. As for me, I ended up going to Mystic over the weekend for a little day trip over in Connecticut. Don't tell the Rhode Islanders because I'm sure they don't want us passing through without quarantining or however that.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Mystic, Connecticut, though. Pizza, Julia Roberts, Portuguese.
Yes, I may or may not have eaten that Mystic Pizza while I was down there. I love that place. I love Mystic in general. I love and the pizzas. I mean, I actually got the pizzas. I think like they used to make the frozen at home pizzas. Like Mystic.
I used to get those all the time.
Yeah, those were outstanding. And I can't remember them that well because it's been so long, but I feel like it's a pretty accurate representation of what you get. Like. Obviously, it's not as good as what you get at.
I hope not. Frozen pizza, there's limits. It's good frozen pizza, but it's not.
The appearance is similar. Obviously, it's not as good, but it's like not a crazy leap. I don't know how many you can compare to like that.
On the topic of pizza, can I just say something? Can we stop with like cities trying to make up their own style of pizza? Like, what the fuck is Detroit style pizza?
I don't know. I've never heard of that in my life. That's bullshit. Chicago deep dish is a real thing. Don't hate on it.
I think it's stupid. I accept it as another form of pizza. It's really just like a thick lasagna,
Lasagna, that doesn't make any sense. Lasagna is thick.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like a thicker lasagna without layers. It's just like sauce and bread. Like it's not for me. It's not pizza, but like Detroit style pizza, St. Louis style pizza. Like even like New York pizza is like get a New York. It's just a big pizza. Mm-hmm. That's it. Like that's all it is.
I think that
just make me a fucking pizza with dough, cheese, sauce, and maybe some meat on there, and just call it a day. Like I don't need you to put your stamp on it and make it seem like it's cool.
The deep dish style is definitely
that's retroactively you're putting that comment up there. That's not in reference to me. We're talking about you.
I mean the audience doesn't know any better. Anyways, look, deep dish is just a different experience than normal pizza. But when you look at New York, I get it. It's floppy and stuff, but in the grand scheme of things, it's still just like it's the same. I don't know what's up with this Detroit stuff. I never saw a picture of it. But I mean, we heard about it over the weekend, and that just doesn't make any sense to me. Detroit style pizza, get out of my face for that shit. Also, I went over to Toy Vault this week, and I got myself the Red Hood Nightwing combo pack, and it is fucking awesome. And I pulled the trigger on a Wolverine figure too, just a little Toy Boys action for everybody. And it's Hugh Jackman's Wolverine with the jacket that he gets in Wolverine Origins, everybody's favorite movie. Which we need to talk about that sometime, Wes. because that movie gets shit on so often. And I think I've told you this. I don't hate that movie as much as everybody else.
I know you've mentioned it quite a few times, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So we may need to talk about that at some point.
Okay.
But
all right. Well, yeah.
all right. Let's see. This week in the DSG, I know that hashtag Dork is talking about this. You love MacGruber, right? That's one of your favorite movies.
Yeah, I enjoy MacGruber. I could have sworn they've done. I feel like the last few episodes that they've done, I'm like, haven't they already done this episode? Have they jumped the shark, or are they just like cycling back things? Like, I feel like they could have talked about this like 2 or 3 times already.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I'm here for it. I love the movie, and I'm sure hearing them talk about it will be funnier than a lot of the sescenes. That actually watching them, that thing kind of plays out.
Yeah, because how Keith starts like laughing midway through.
Yeah, exactly.
He starts really laughing. It's like a balloon, like helium coming out of a balloon.
Yeah, exactly.
Mac and Goo did the Captain America Civil War power rankings because that movie just came out recently. Mm-hmm. And we found out, truthfully, Mac and Goo are just doing this to save face, because I sent a picture to our group chat. I know we don't talk about what happens in the group chat, but this is a note that I sent. And it was my brother for Christmas. I got it a little late because, whatever, things happen. And it's a sweatshirt with the Winter Soldier star. And it reads off all the things that are on that are in the book that Zemo uses to trigger Winter Soldier, Bucky into becoming the Winter Soldier. And there's like, was it 9 train, I think it's like boxcar, but either way, like when I see those things, I know right away I knew as soon as I opened up the gift what it was.
That's a great shirt or sweatshirt.
You knew right away what it was. Just some people in the DSG needed it to be explained to them what it was. So just seems a little odd.
Well, I mean, I think it's safe to say that there might be a couple people who have masters in the DSG, but that does not mean that they are smart by any means.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's a fair way to put it. Yeah. Wes, do you have any idea what's going on with the People for Communism podcast this week?
Well, it says here that you said it has a referendum on what could have been a deep dive into the first volume of Mein Kampf.
Oh,
did I pronounce that right?
Yeah. They're going to talk about Hitler's book. Okay. All right.
I guess. I don't even know what that is. What did you make me read?
It's just, that's what PCP. I text Rossi and Billy all the time because I forget what they say. I know they list it all off way before everybody else, but I ask them what they're talking about, and you know what, they're really. Is it forward thinking now to be pro communism? I don't know. I tried to.
I can't keep up anymore, man.
Yeah, especially with those guys. So TLDR, of course, we're talking comics, and then Psych. I've heard it both ways. I've heard it both ways. The Pineapple Boys, they're talking about Psych every week. Episode 10, I believe, this week.
It's 10 or 9. I don't know. Who knows? I updated it.
Okay. And then for the streamers, Shime, Doc, Davey, make sure you guys go follow them. They're always doing different stuff. I know Doc is playing. If you're watching the live stream, Doc is playing Goo in their Madden League. So make sure you guys go check that out on Twitch. I'm going to actually watch that for sure. Other than that, Wes, I got nothing. TBD for next week?
Yeah, perhaps. That sounds good. It could be, maybe at the same bat time, or maybe at the same bat place even. Who knows?